Remember in Jurassic Park 1 where we have this infamous scene right here?
That is one big pile of shit.
Now, have you ever stopped and wondered what dinosaur could have actually made a pile of nasty this big? They hinted it being the Triceratops, but it's way too big of a pile for that. I mean, how would the Triceratops even lift its back end to put it on the top? Now, this isn't the first iteration we see of this either. In Jurassic Park 3, we see the same piles.
I got it.
I mean, they're just as big, if not even bigger, which then completely eliminates the argument of the park rangers stacking up the turds. I mean, initially I thought it could be the park rangers raking it all together or shoveling it all in one big pile, but the fact that we see these huge piles in Jurassic Park 3 indicates that something has made them this way, something way bigger than a Triceratops. And it got me thinking, this is possibly the most disgusting Jurassic Park theory of all time, but runs hugely deeper than meets the eye, even all the way into Jurassic World, and has gone completely unnoticed. That is until today. So hold on to your butts as we solve this massive mystery, because it's something as a kid I've always wondered. I knew it couldn't be the Triceratops which made it, so what was it? And I think after you've heard this theory, it'll have you questioning everything you thought you knew about Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Immediately, my thoughts went to the Brachiosaurus, which we've seen in the opening scenes. I mean, they're absolutely ginormous. They're massive. And thinking about it, their stools probably would be as well. They could easily make a pile like that, right? Well, it wasn't in the Brachiosaurus paddock which we've seen this mess. And not only that, there's something extremely off about this entire massive pile of turd. You see, normally the stools would be what? Circular, fully formed, maybe a bit elongated, but the turd we actually see in the Triceratops paddock, not only is it massive, likely not made by the Triceratops, it also looks extremely runny. Now, I did warn you and say this was going to be the most disgusting theory of all time, but this is where things start to get extremely interesting here. Like I said earlier, it couldn't be the workers simply piling up the turd, because we see the same piles in Jurassic Park 3, which wouldn't have had workers on it for, what, nearly a decade now? I know what you're thinking. Could the licensing deficiency have played a part in this? Now, if you're unaware, all the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park were bred with a lysine deficiency. And if you don't know what that is, well, I'll let Mr. Arnold tell you.
The lysine contingency is intended to prevent the spread of the animals in case they ever get off the island. Dr. Wu inserted a gene that creates a single faulty enzyme in protein metabolism. The animals can't manufacture the amino acid lysine. Unless they're completely supplied with lysine by us, they slip into a coma and die.
Because in a deleted scene, they hypothesized that it accidentally ingested the berries while swallowing rocks, to aid its digestion. But the problem here is the Triceratops chewed its food, and thus wouldn't need the rocks in order to aid its digestion. Now, these are not only seen in Jurassic Park 1 and 3, they're also seen in Jurassic World in Camp Cretaceous. Funnily enough, they look exactly like the ones we've seen from the Triceratops, or alluding to be from the Triceratops. And the fact that we see these in Jurassic World's Camp Cretaceous indicate that it cannot be the lysine deficiency. The food they'd be feeding them, nearly 2 decades later, would be far more advanced. But yet the animals are still having intestinal problems? And not only that, how does that then translate to the Jurassic Park 3 turd piles we see? Because we know that was left by a carnivore, the Spinosaurus. And if you want to put another spanner in the work, actual fossil records show us that dinosaur turds should be far more compact, like the ones we see in Ark. Something is completely wrong here on all the levels. But believe it or not, I think I have the answer. When Jurassic Park initially resurrected the dinosaurs, they obviously didn't resurrect all their gut flora. We know they tried to resurrect some plants, but how would they know what plants to resurrect, what the dinosaurs would have eaten, and their eating habits? They wouldn't have. This is basically confirmed in the novel when they're constantly asking Ian Malcolm for his take on dinosaur biomes. And because the dinosaurs were resurrected with just the DNA, and their gut flora being long extinct, most living animals inherit their microbiome from their parents, or from eating their natural diet. This wasn't the case with the resurrected dinosaurs, leading to huge problems with their gut. And believe it or not, this actually is backed up by the carnivores in the Jurassic series. You see, such as the Spinosaurus, the T-Rex, you see them all hell-bent on killing everything in sight. And that is because they're malnourished. And I mean not malnourished because they're hungry, they're missing important vitamins in their diet. They're desperate for that food to fulfill their bodily needs. So they're constantly on the hunt to meet their basic metabolism needs. So these animals hunt, they kill, they eat, but because their body doesn't need the majority of what they're eating, it just gets shit out, literally. This explains the massive piles of dinosaur diarrhea from the Spinosaurus, which matches the dinosaur diarrhea we see in Jurassic Park 1. I'm not saying the Spinosaurus made that, but some other carnivore such as the T-Rex potentially. Now, why would a T-Rex be in the Triceratops paddock, you ask? Well, I'll get onto that, let me continue to explain. You see, in Jurassic World, Claire mentions that they're having financial problems, which is extremely odd, because she actually says the attendance is super high and they had their best months. But how would their attendance be high and they're still not matching the cost of running Jurassic World? I mean, every zoo on our planet does not have this financial problem. So why does Jurassic World? Well, I think it's quite obvious here. The cost of the food would be through the roof because they're constantly feeding their animals. They don't know what's wrong. They're on an island, they would need to import everything, and the animals are not digesting it properly. They're literally shitting it out all over the island. Camp Cretaceous backs this up. Jurassic World is literally flushing its money down the toilet. Now, I know what you're thinking. Many people will say the lysine contingency simply wouldn't work in real life because no one produces lysine. That is correct, but the problem here is not the production of lysine, it's the digestion of it. You see, it's down to not absorbing the protein. That is what they mean by lysine contingency. Basically, the animals all have bad pancreases. I'm not plucking this information out the air, this is factual. Animals in the real world do actually have lysine deficiency, and without treatment it's really bad. But in the real world we mix in powder with every meal and they're just fine. But without it, lots and lots of pooping everywhere. Does this sound familiar to you? It does. It sounds exactly like the dinosaur poop we're seeing in Jurassic Park 3, and Jurassic World. We also know that animals can be trained to poop in the same place. Look at our dogs and cats. And not only that, look at a zoo. So the fact that some of these piles grow absolutely enormous is the fact that these animals are going in the same place. Large animals anyway to create the large piles. And the fact that we've just said the lysine deficiency along with the gut flora has caused the runny turd everywhere. But there's one thing we still haven't answered at this stage. Why is our giant pile of poo still in the Triceratops paddock? The Triceratops couldn't have made it, right? We've answered how it can get that large via other animals, but this one instance is still a mystery. You see, initially I thought a Brachiosaurus could have did it and the Brachiosaurus were able to wander around paddocks, but then looking at the map, this is completely impossible. They're at other ends of the island. Then I thought the T-Rex, but we know the T-Rex doesn't break out until after that scene. But on closer examination of the map, you can actually see the perimeter fences, and the fences separating the carnivores from the rest of the island. Now, interestingly enough, the Trike and Brachiosaurus enclosures do not have internal fences, meaning the Brachiosaurus could indeed have wandered up to the Trike enclosure. Or there's one other possible explanation here, was that they were stockpiling the poop in order to transport it for testing back at the lab, because you know at this stage they didn't know what was wrong with the Trike. And as we solved earlier, with all the other giant piles, coupled with the lysine deficiency, the digestive problems had made it extremely runny. I would have hated to have been that guy shoveling all that lovely poop. And boom! With that, this theory is pretty solid. Unlike the poo we see, we've literally deep dived into a massive pile of shit today. And with that, Ian Malcolm has got something to say.
You will remember to wash your hands before you eat anything.
And just like the gates in Jurassic World being shut tight, I'm shutting the door on this theory. I did tell you it was going to be the most disgusting Jurassic Park theory, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy theories on Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, I have plenty on the channel. There's something there you'll enjoy. Take a look. As well as hitting that subscribe button right now. It's free and you'll stay up to date with everything Jurassic. And with that being said, a massive thanks to the YouTube members who are on screen now. You guys keep the electricity on in the park, with a huge thanks to DVM Wannabe 1018. And if you fell into a big pile of dinosaur poo, could your day get any worse? You bet Jurassic can. Catch you later.